Show. I'm your host, Eric Smith, and today I'm talking about Spider from the Well by Tim Reed. And this is from Books to Go Now Publications, something like that. Books to Go Now. It's a Books to Go Now publication, however you'd like to. Anyway, it's Spider from the Well by Tim Reed. And this is a Lovecraftian tale. There's an unnamed couple that goes on a vacation to a bed and breakfast, and they're going to go for long walks. And on one of these walks, they find the ruins of a homestead, and there's a well by the ruins, and amongst the ruins, they find a diary. And so they decide to sit down along the trail and read this diary. And that's the bulk of our story is the diary itself, and it's the story of a man who was a doctor in London, had an accident, so lost his practice, started drinking. His wife passed away, and so he and his young daughter Elizabeth moved out to this property out in sort of nowhere-ish. It's away from a small town, and in 1899, I believe, is the first entry. Yes, June of 1899 is the first entry in the diary. So you have an idea of when the diary part is taking place. And so this man and his daughter are living in this property. Sort of, it's a farm with a well and fields and everything, and he's just sort of farming and living his life. And then he has some very bizarre nightmares, and then some very strange things start happening, and he doesn't know if it's real, if he's going crazy in that Lovecraftian type of way. He doesn't know exactly what's happening, but he wants to keep his daughter safe, and he wants to know the truth of what's going on, and that's your basic setup for the story. Now, first of all, I am a fan of Lovecraft's work, the Cthulhu mythos, and just the dream sequences and everything. I've got a Cthulhu tattoo. That's how much of a fan I am. And this is going to be pretty high praise to me. This reads as if it could be a lost story from H.P. Lovecraft. Not quite as dry as his stories could be, but the story itself, the setup, the fact that this couple finds a journal and reads it, and that's the bulk of our story, seems very Lovecraftian, and the things that go on within the story, definitely Lovecraftian. The nightmares, the cosmic expanses, and the horrors, and the weird things, and the madness, and just all the stuff that's going on. As always, I don't want to give too much away, so I'm not going to talk that much about the specifics of what the man telling the story, writing in his journal. I'm not going to talk about specifically a lot of what he sees, because it's kind of jarring. But he does, these nightmares do sort of cast him almost astrally out into space. And there's a section where I don't think I'm giving anything away here. There's a section of the journal where he's talking about, he's seeing a lot of the past and the future and sort of the secret world behind our world, or coexisting with our world that we can't see, which again is a concept that Lovecraft used quite often. And just the idea of these of knowledge that's so profound or so bizarre that it could drive you insane. I've always loved that idea, and we don't know, because we're simply following along the journal of this man. We, the reader, don't know. Is he simply insane, or are these things really happening? And I love that. We do get some answers, which is nice. by the end. Whether you like what the answers are or not, I can't say. But this, uh, it's well written. It's very well written. As I said, it's not nearly as dry as Lovecraft's own writing. Um, the character, I mean, we don't get to know the nameless couple. We don't get to know that we get a little bit of them, a feel for who they are. But I mean, they're nameless. They're not. They're sort of a catalyst. But then, and again, mainly everything's from the eyes of the guy writing the journal. So we get to know him the most. But even then, we don't know if what we're getting to know is real or not. Um, so, but he's an interesting character. It's mainly though about what's going on, and I mean it's called Spider from the Well, so that is a part of what may or may not be going on. This He believes there's a giant spider amongst other things that are going on. He believes there's a giant spider in the well that's going to come out and possibly kill him. Um, and it's it's frightening. It's freaky. Uh, I think they do mention there's a green sun that he first sees in one of his nightmares, which again adds this huge cosmic Lovecraftian aspect. This green sun that may or may not be sort of overshadowing our own sun, creating perhaps a whole new existence on Earth. Don't know. Um, a lot of it, again, I mentioned liking the Lovecraftian dream sequence stories, and this has a feel of that. It has a feel of some of the creature monster stories, for lack of a better term, I guess, that Lovecraft wrote. Um, so, being a fan of the whole Cthulhu mythos and the dream sequence and everything, I quite enjoyed what Tim Reed did here. As I said, you could, if his name was not on the cover, if somebody said, "We found a lost Lovecraft manuscript," I could almost believe that that's what this was. Um, but again, not as dry as Lovecraft, so that's probably the real giveaway. But other than that, um, so my rating, you're gonna have to kind of bear with me on this. It's a little odd because my system is 5 based on 5. So um, and spiders have 8 legs, so I could have gone. You'll see what I'm talking about here. I could have gone like 6 out of 8 or whatever because it's not a perfect score. But we're gonna say the spider lost some legs, so I can stick with my 5. So what we have is 4 out of 5 spider legs coming out of the well. So did you follow all that? So 4 out of 5 spider legs. Um, like I said, I could have gone like 6.5 out of 8, but my system is based on 5. So anyway, 4 out of 5 spider legs coming out of the well. Really an enjoyable story. It's short as well. It's not even 150 pages. And if you're a fan of Lovecraft or of his writing, of Arthur Machen, is that how you say his name? Algernon Blackwood, these types of writers, I highly recommend this. I know there are quite a few writers that are doing the Lovecraftian thing, and Laird Barron, I think, is a name that really is considered one of the best modern Lovecraftian writers. I just haven't gotten around to reading any of his stuff, and I hate to admit that. And I'll have to rectify that. But I would put this up there. Well, I can't say that because I haven't read Laird Barron's stuff. I just said that. But definitely, if you're a fan of that type of stuff, you should read this. It really, really feels like an old lost Lovecraft story. Um, I highly enjoyed it. Obviously, 4 out of 5 spider legs coming out of the well. Um, I, I I would love to see more of this type of thing from Tim Reed. Um, I would I'd love to see this kind of thing from other authors. Again, can't say whether or not, how this compares to, say, Laird Barron or some of the other people. I don't have time to read everything. I really wish I could. Um, but I recommend it. I will have links for the book in the description below. If you have any comments, questions, or corrections, please put them in the comments below. Comments are open for spoilers. Just post a spoiler warning. If you want to know more details about the book, we can discuss it under a spoiler heading in the comments below. I don't want to give too much away um, about this, but you should pick it up for yourself and read it. Please like, share, and subscribe, because I'm always happy to have more subscribers. And I'm trying to do a service here, steer you towards some good books, maybe steer you away from some bad books. So like, share, and subscribe. It does my heart good. And I guess that's it for this episode of the Low Budget Review Show. So I have been Eric Smith, and until next time, read more books.